everybody. Happy Friday, and welcome to my channel. I wanted to come on today just to give a big old round of applause, a great big thank you to everyone who has been supporting my channel thus far. I haven't been up and going long on YouTube, but I can tell you right now, I am enjoying the experience. I appreciate all of the likes, the shares, the comments. I really did not expect to get 2,000 plus, well, almost 2,000 subscribers that fast. So I want to say thank you. I am glad that my channel is interesting to you. I want to give you a little bit of a background about me. I am not new to social media. I am newer to being a TikTok, not a TikTok. Oh my God, not TikTok. This is YouTube. To being a YouTube streamer. But I am not new to social media. I've been had this channel just inactive on it. So I decided recently to go ahead and kick my YouTube off. And you guys really welcomed me with open arms. So a little bit about my background. I'm 52 years old. I am originally from Alabama. Living in Atlanta now for the last almost 30 years. Um, I work in the transportation industry, but I am using social media, of course, like everybody else, as a side hustle, a side gig, an extra stream of income, which we all can agree that that's something we could need during this time. So that is why I'm here. That is what I've been doing. I started off with some content based on the situation that was happening with the government shutdown, the situation with people not being able to get their food stamps, their daycare vouchers, their Section 8 vouchers, all that stuff that's involved in those SNAP benefits is where it all started out for me. And you guys really showed love on those videos. So also what I was doing was sharing some tips that I used when I was a single mother, not on assistance. I wasn't on assistance then, and I'm not on assistance now, and I thank God for that. But that is definitely not talking about anyone who is. I am just saying there are always ways to improve your situation. And even if you are, receiving benefits or whatever, always maximize them to the most of your ability, because you never know when situations like the government shutdown is going to happen again. You just never know. Hey, I can sit here today and say I've never been on assistance, but that doesn't mean before I leave this world that I won't be one of those people filling out an application looking for some type of assistance. So it's very helpful to have the open dialogue and for people to share their experiences, because you just can't assume that everybody knows this, that, or the other. So my channel, I've been using tips that I used when I was a single mother. When I was a single mother, and just for those of you who do not know, I only have one child. Welcome in, Ricardo. Welcome in, Rosa. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for stopping by. I'm doing well, Elite. How are you tonight? I never received assistance because guess what? Back in 2003, when I had my son, I was working in the transportation industry and I was making $13 an hour. Okay, $13 an hour. And let me tell y'all something. When I tried to go get the week and try to get assistance, because of course I was on maternity leave and I wasn't receiving a paycheck, but guess what? I didn't qualify. And yes, I am a veteran. I served in the United States Navy. Yes, I have been working ever since I was 16 years old. That's when I got my first job. And I have been in the transportation industry working consecutively for the past 30 years. So I'm not just a person on here, talking what they think that everybody wants to hear. I'm talking from experience. So the reason I never ended up on that type of government assistance, number one, is because I wasn't approved because they told me I was making too much money. Number two is because when I went and applied and I got that no, that was one of the first times that I felt that feeling that I just didn't want anybody controlling whether or not I eat or not, whether I can feed my child or not. So for me, that's all it took for me to hit the ground running and know that I had to keep a job. Whether I was married, single, separated, or divorced, I had to keep working to feed my family. So during those years, I did learn to cut corners. During those years, I learned that, you know what, you can almost make a meal out of nothing. Besides being from the country and seeing my mother and my grandmother do their things in the kitchen, besides that, I had to learn to make it work. So when I hear people with excuses about, oh, I got this many kids, oh, I got that many kids, oh, I can't do that, it doesn't strike the sympathetic part of my heart, because I know I saw my mother, who was the mother of 8, and I saw my grandmother do it too. Get in the kitchen and almost make a meal from water. Just take what you got and make something. Just make sure when you do buy groceries that you buy the necessities and you buy the foundation for those meals, which is always milk, flour, cooking oil, potatoes, grits, rice. If you're gonna have meat, bacon, spam, eggs, all of those things, you could take any number of those things on any day and go in and make a meal, and you don't have to worry about breaking the bank. See, people these days, they get food stamps. When you go in the grocery store now and you see people with food stamps, you already know, happy birthday, a miracle, happy birthday to you, and many more. You can already tell who in the grocery store is getting food stamps. And this is my experience. You go in there, you'll see a mother, she may have 2, 3, 4 kids. Sometimes the kids have buggies too. And then you see the working people like myself. We walking around with coupons, calculators, a hope, a wish, and a half of a smile, because we know we only got a certain amount of money that gotta go to food, and we got to make it work. So we've made a list. We're not in the grocery store just randomly pulling stuff off the shelves. We got a list, because we got to stick to that list. No matter what, we got to stick to that list so we can stick to our budget, so we can make sure that the family is eating. That's what it is. So my channel was on this channel, I was advising people during the shutdown, during the pause on the food stamps, make sure you make do with what you have. And now if you're still getting them, or if you've been blessed enough to get them, make sure to make it count. I have been in the grocery store and had people come in and try to sell me food stamps. And this is why I feel the way that I feel about it. If you got so many that you can sell, what about that older person who is elderly and who is not able to work anymore, that's not getting nothing near the hundreds or thousands that other people are getting, because they don't have a whole lot of kids to qualify for them. So to me, that is where the situation is broken, because those are the people that should be receiving them, in my opinion. The veterans who have fought for our country and who are now retired, or trying to make ends meet off of their pension and a little bit of food stamps, they're not the ones getting it. They're not getting a whole lot of it. So that was kind of what my channel is about. But as you see, the name of my channel is Umjay's Hot Topics. So I will be covering hot topics as they're going on. I dropped a video last night talking about what's going on with the lady who was calling all these different churches trying to get help, and she was turned down. Another sad situation. The situation that our government just went through was sad. The situation with people not being able to feed their families was sad. Now the situation with these churches is sad. It is sad, because the church is the storehouse. You take your tithes and offering there. The church should be the place that you can go when you can't go anywhere else. And not that all these churches can afford to pay people bills, feed their families, and all that type of stuff. But let me tell you what they can do. They can do the best they can do. They can show effort that they are trying to do the works of the Lord. And the one thing they also could do is ask, what would Jesus do? Would Jesus have told that lady, oh, no, you got to be approved? Would Jesus have told that lady, oh, no, we don't have no milk for you and your baby? Would Jesus have told that lady, fill out an application and call back? Would Jesus have told that lady straight up no? Would Jesus have turned her away? No, he wouldn't have. That's not what would have happened. So it kind of leads you to believe what is really, what's really going on today. People are bringing their tithes and offering into the storehouse, and other people are needing assistance. It is not, and I can understand if we weren't going through what we were going through from the government being shut down, but knowing that there was some hard times for a lot of people in our country should have made the church think twice about saying no. And yes, I do know people out there scam. I do know this, I do this, I know this. But a can of milk, most people don't scam for a can of milk. You got to make it make sense. Now, if she called and she said, oh, I need my rent paid for 6 months. Oh, I need $1,000. I need $5,000. I need a car. That's a different story. But a can of milk caused all this controversy. A can of milk. There was one pastor that I saw over on another platform who went so far as to say that the lady was wicked. went so far as to say she was demonic. I mean, he was literally just upset at the fact that his church had gotten that called. And on Sunday, at Sunday morning, when he was up in the pulpit, he was saying he knew he had some TikTok demons in there, and they better watch. I mean, just it's just crazy. It's crazy and it's sad, but we have to be mindful. Like I said, we have to be mindful because you never know what people are going through. You never know what they got going on. But at the same time, the church, the church is held to a different standard. And that's not a standard that I put in place or that you put in place or that anybody else put in place. That standard of the church and what the church is supposed to be about, what the church is supposed to do, is broken down for us in the Bible. So when you see people doing things differently, that's what leads me to believe that there's some type of scam going on. That to me, because if you're the church and you know the Bible and you teach the Bible and you're trying to bring people to God, how can you bring people to God if that is the way you are reacting? If you're turning people, you're turning someone away because they asked for a can of milk. That is not sharing the gospel. That is not what Jesus would do. That is not what instructions that we got that we are supposed to do while we're down here on earth. So it just leaves a lot to the mind to wonder. And then the reactions were bigger mess than anything else. Because for me, I feel like if there was a problem helping the young lady, just a simple, something. Maybe if you didn't want to go into the church money to do it, maybe you could have called a couple of church members. Because who knows? There may have been a church member that had a baby recently or had a grandbaby recently that had some extra milk sitting around. But you will never know if you didn't take time to even try to help the lady. You just turned her away. And I'm glad she ran that test, because this is a conversation that my siblings and I have about tithes and offering and the storehouse and all this type of stuff. And it really, not that I'm not against churches or anything like that. I was raised up in the church, still in the church. I have nothing against churches, but you got to be honest with yourself and honest when this lady ran this test and these were the results that she got. You got to wonder what's really going on. You got to wonder who is really benefiting from those tithes and offering. You have to wonder that. And it's okay. It's okay to wonder. Now, people are going to lead you to believe that you can't wonder, but you can. And the best thing to answer your questions is to get in the book. Get in the Bible. The Bible breaks it down for you and tell you what's supposed to happen with the storehouse. The Bible breaks it down and talks about tithes and offering. But the one thing about it is, if you don't get in there for yourself, if you don't read it to understand it for yourself, then you're gonna have to go on what somebody told you, and that's not always the truth. I sat in churches as a little girl, as a teenager, and I can tell you right now some of the things I remember hearing in the church. When I compare that to my own reading and my own understanding, it ain't nowhere near right. So I'm just telling y'all, when these things come up like this, get in your book and read for yourself. I hope everybody is back getting their food stamps now. If you are, make sure you're budgeting. Make sure you don't sell them, don't splurge, fill up your pantries with items that you can make quick meals for. And when it comes to the church, get in your Bible and read so that you know what God expects of us. So when people do things like what happened with the young lady that made the calls to all those churches, you will be like me and you won't be surprised. So until the next time, I will talk to y'all later. Be good, be blessed.